Hello everyone, I'm Nima and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will be introducing plantains. I will be talking about what plantain actually is, where did they come from, how can we properly use them, how can we properly keep and store them, and a lot more. So if you want to gain information about plantain and know something about it, keep watching this video. What are plantains? Plantain is basically a fruit. It was first discovered in Southeast Asia and we have been using it since 5,000 years ago. It's basically a type of banana. It's in banana family and it's a large banana. And there is a lot of differences between plantain and Cavendish. What is Cavendish? Cavendish is basically the sweet banana that we all use as a fruit, that we all eat it raw as a fruit. That's Cavendish. But the color of Cavendish and plantain is basically the same. They go from green to yellow and then to black. And plantains are very hard to peel. Even if they're like yellow, which means they're fully ripened, they're very hard to peel and they have a thick skin in general. And plantains are not as sweet as Cavendish bananas, but over time as they ripen, their sugar content increases. And most important thing, plantains must be cooked before eating. This is because plantains have a very high starch content, and if you eat them raw, your body can't properly digest them. And this is why plantains are often called cooking banana. It's so easy to confuse a plantain with a Cavendish banana because they both pretty much look the same. So whenever you had a banana and you notice that it's not as sweet as the previous bananas that you've eaten, you should know that you don't have a Cavendish banana, you actually have a plantain. And you should expect to have a stomachache the day after because, as I said, because of its high starch content, our bodies cannot properly digest it. And you probably will have a stomachache if you eat raw plantains. The starch content and the sugar content in plantains have a negative correlation. Ooh, what is a negative correlation? It basically means if one goes up, the other goes down, and vice versa. Think of a scale. That's the best way to describe it. And if this is starch content and this is sugar content, when plantain is green, it's like this. It has a very high starch content, but sugar content is very low. When plantain turns yellow, it's more like this. Starch content reduces, but sugar content increases a little bit. And when the plantain turns black, it's pretty much the same. Like starch content and sugar content is pretty much the same. So yeah, it has a negative correlation. If one goes up, the other goes down. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, plantains must be cooked before eating. But what is the reason for that? Like, why do we cook plantains before eating? Well, you actually know half of the answer by now because it has a very high starch content, right? But the other half of the answer is when you cook plantains, when you apply heat to some of those starch molecules, they break down and they turn into sugar. And this is why when you taste cooked plantains, they taste much sweeter than raw plantains. This is why, like, those starch molecules break down and they turn into sugar. And basically plantains are like always ready to be cooked. It doesn't matter like the stage of ripeness. They can be black, they can be green, yellow, or black. You can basically cook them in whatever stage you want. And whenever you want to cook plantains, just pretend that you're using a potato, because potatoes and plantains are like very similar to each other. So you can basically saute them, you can deep fry them, you can fry them, you can bake them, you can braise them. Basically whatever you do with potatoes, you can do it with plantains as well. If you think you've learned something watching this video so far, please hit that like button down below so YouTube will show this video to more people and more people can learn about plantains. Thank you. How to use plantains? Well, as I said, basically however you use a potato, you can use plantains the same way. I really like plantain chips. You basically would thinly slice them and just fry them or deep fry them. That's it. And when it's cooked like that, it tastes like how would I say? Like sweet chips. That's what it is. Yes, sweet chips. But when it's cooked in like a stew or something, it tastes like exactly like a sweet potato. So we actually have two different types of plantains, two different varieties of plantains, French plantains and horn plantains. But what is the difference between these two? Basically, French plantains have bigger bunches of bananas, bigger bunches of plantains, but horn plantains have smaller bunches of plantains. And that's basically the main difference between these two. How to keep and store plantains? Well, just like Cavendish bananas, you can basically ripen them by keeping them at room temperature, or if you want to slow down the ripening process, you can basically keep keep them in the fridge. And you basically can peel the plantain and just freeze the meaty part of it. Alright, so we talked about plantains in the past several minutes, but how can we buy plantains? Like, how can we pick plantains? Well, nowadays plantains are like widely available in every store, but like for picking plantains, you basically have to know when you're going to use that plantain. Let's say you go to the store today and you want to use plantain in a week. You would buy a green plantain, right? Or if you want to use it in a couple of days, you would buy a yellow plantain. Or if you want to use it the same day, buy a black plantain. But to be honest, it doesn't really change the like outcome of your planting, you know? Like, I'm not saying it doesn't change it at all, it does, but it's not that much for you to like worry, like which plantains should I choose, you know? Like if you cook all three different types of plantains, yellow, green, and black, the final outcome, it wouldn't be like that much for it to be noticeable. If you've never had plantains before, make sure to buy one and just experiment with it, see if you like it or not. Because I feel like there are only two types of people in terms of like liking plantains. They either really like it or they really dislike it. It's not like there's no in the middle, you know? And yeah, just buy one, see if you like it or not. Alright everyone, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something watching this video. And if you want to support me, please like my videos as you watch them. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you, and until the next video, I will see you all later.